You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Ready to stand out, Army ROTC prepares you not only as a college student, but as a strong leader, allowing you to earn the rank of second lieutenant. You will be eligible for full tuition merit-based scholarships and develop leadership skills essential for your future. Start strong and enhance your college experience. Visit your campus Army ROTC representative today. To find out how you can earn up to a full tuition scholarship, visit goarmy.com/podcast to locate your closest ROTC program today. Army officers inspire, strengthen others. Paid for by the United States Army.
At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I only have a certain budget.
No problem. Right now at the LASIK Vision Institute, get 20% off LASIK when treated in April. That can be over $900 off when treating both eyes, plus guaranteed financing options. So visit getlvilasik.com today to start your journey towards 20/20 vision. Must mention this promotion and be treated in April of 2024 to qualify. 20% off standard price of wave light procedure. Cannot be combined with any other offers. Go to getlvilasik.com for details. At the LASIK Vision Institute, we know LASIK is a big decision, and every one of our patients is unique. That's why we customize your LASIK journey to you.
I'm so busy right now.
We offer a mix of convenient days and times, including 30-minute virtual appointments to fit your schedule.
I would love it, but I have astigmatism.
We treat thousands of patients with astigmatism every month with great outcomes. The LASIK Vision Institute is making your journey towards 20/20 vision all about you. So visit getlvilasik.com today to start your LASIK journey.
I am Conor McGregor, multiple weight MMA champion. I'm a fighter and I've been through many battles in the octagon. Many consider my fights in the octagon heroic, but the real-life heroes are those men and women who fight to protect us every day. The real-life fighters, the real-life heroes, are the firefighters and police officers. These first responders are true heroes, because these brave men and women put themselves in the line of danger every single day protecting us all. The Tunnel to Towers Foundation ensures that first responders from fire, EMS and police departments who are killed in the line of duty with young children have a home without the burden of a mortgage. They are my heroes. They need our help today. I'd like to ask you to join me in donating $11 a month to support their efforts. Your $11 a month honours and supports our first responders. Please call now at 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis.
And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, Pop-Up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu and drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you. See you, see you.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
And welcome to another episode of The Cocktail Lounge. I am your hostess with the mostest, Aggie, and with me, as always, is the ever suave, affable, and quaffable co-host of mine, Brad Slager. How are you doing this evening, Brad?
Shit, yeah, finally. How are we doing tonight? Sorry, I'm last game of the hockey season. So got distracted. Just Panthers just scored, so coming back. How about yourself? How's everything going? I missed you last week?
I know. I
mean,
was
technically,
swamped.
I got to say that for the audience sake, but we talk all the time. But still,
Yeah, true.
haven't seen you in the studio.
I know. It was, and the weird thing was, I wish I were gone because I was taking a break. No, that was not this is my break. Coming on and doing podcasts, that's my break.
So. Yeah. This is our respite from the family.
Yes, it is.
So how did you survive it? I know you had a full clan over at your establishment.
We did. We had 12 people here. It was a lot of fun. We got lucky with the cloud cover. I mean, we woke up and it's like overcast. And we're like, well, hell, So we were thinking we're not going to see it. The clouds dissipated at the start of the eclipse, and they did not show back up until after the moon had completed its, pass in front of the sun. So that was nice. We got to see clear skies during
almost
the entire
by
eclipse.
design.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, did you tell everybody at your place that I was pissed off at them?
I did not. I wasn't good. Why would I say that?
Well, because I was in the state of Texas, and yet you and I could not get together because you were too busy catering to everybody, and therefore our schedules were completely.
And the worst part was we actually had planned to meet up on Tuesday as you guys were driving out, but y'all had to leave early because of the coming storms. So
yeah, the plan was for
squashed.
Aggie to pull in at a truck stop and basically wave as we came screaming by, but couldn't even do that because by the time I was out there, you were at the airport, and they got.
Yeah, I was dropping Giraffe, Dr. Doubter, that's his handle, over at the airport. Oh my goodness, he was in such a rush. He had to grab a connecting flight out of Dallas back to LA, then drive 2 hours back to his house, get in his motorhome to drive an additional 90 minutes for a bike race that he was monitoring that same day. So,
damn.
I know. I was like, dude. And then he got stuck. He got stuck in Dallas. So he confirmed his seat because, the app and everything. He gets there and they said, oh, well, we gave away your seat to stand by. He looks at them and shows them the phone. I literally confirmed it. You told me that I was confirmed. Oh, well, let me see what we can do. So they put him in a later flight, and I think he got a travel voucher out of it or something. But he was quite upset because that meant that he could not start work until the following day, which was fine. But it made a very, very long travel day for him. But eventually he got to where he was going, so that was nice. But yeah,
I mean,
so
how did? Yeah, that's a severe screw up on their part. You do everything right and streamline the process for them, and they still screw it up. Okay.
This is exactly what happened to me when I got icebound in DFW on my way to Orlando for CPAC a couple of years ago. I did the confirmation not just on my phone. I went to the at the gate, and confirmed it there, and they still messed it up, and I ended up that morning when I finally flew out to Orlando. If I had not checked at the gate, I would not have known that my plane had changed gates twice again. So it was such a mess. Although, I got to give it to them. They did have to contend with severe weather the night before, so everything was shut down. So they were scrambling and everything. But they didn't have an excuse this time. There was no weather issue in DFW. It had passed by the time we got there. So, but other than that, missing out on you guys, that was kind of soul crushing, but I'll get over it. I'll get over it.
We'll have to make arrangements otherwise, but no, I enjoyed Texas myself. I had about 3 days out there. I got to see Scott Hounsel from Red State. He's located in Dallas, so he and I hooked up at a brewery. Got to see...
There's a shock.
Yeah, I know, right? How about that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's, Eclipse was cool, and saw the family that was out there, and just, kind of did as much and as total as we could. And it went well, I think. So plans are to go back.
I'm sure. And this time you'll enjoy it even more because you won't be hurried, I'm sure. You'll probably take more time. I'm assuming more than like 2 days of driving in, a couple of days, and then 2 days of driving back.
Yeah, I mean, this whole venture was kind of last minute, and the wife just kind of threw it at me. She kind of had the wild hair, and then she looks at me. She's like, "No, so what do you think? Would you be up for that?" It's like, I'm the one that can go in the hard speed. You drop everything and go. That's me, not you. She's the one that needs planning and can't just abruptly leave. So for her to do that, I was impressed. I was like, wow, look at you. Funny thing is, though, she got the idea, and then we're starting to look into, say, like airfare and stuff. Talk about surge pricing. Holy crap. I think for us to go round trip to Dallas would have been $2,500.
Oh, my word. Holy crap. You're kidding.
No, I mean, it was not last minute, but I think with 2 or 3 days to go. But yeah, flights in were about ranging in the $1,200 range. Turns out everybody was jazzed for that Eclipse kind of thing. So,
gee, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the airlines were, kind of scalping tickets, as it were. But no, it's a fun time. We did it. We managed to go out and up and back, and we didn't kill each other during the trip either, amazingly enough. So, 2 days confined in a car. I think she was more surprised by that than I was, because I'm, about as easygoing as it can be. Plus, I'm actually working in the car. I'm on my hotspot with the laptop literally in my lap, trying to type while driving over the roads of Louisiana and such. And
that's an adventure in itself. Yeah,
indeed. But it was no, I think overall it went well enough, and I think it worked.
I'm glad that you guys had a fun time visiting here. But yeah, next time you have to stay longer because there's so much more to see in Texas than just DFW. And you guys didn't even see DFW. You only saw a little bit. You saw the middle part, the Arlington part, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we were pretty much just off the highway. I mean, I don't know how familiar you are with it. We were just not terribly far from, say, the stadiums. We were just past Six Flags.
Yeah, I'm very familiar. I used to work at the mall there.
Oh, that's right. You did tell me that. But yeah, we were about probably 4 exits or so off of that, and just saw what we could while we were there. It was well enough of a trip, as they say. So it was worthwhile. I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that you did not have a horrendous time in my state of Texas. I can't really call it my home state because I wasn't born here. I only got here as fast as I could. But I'm glad you had a fun time. Yeah,
it went well. I'll tell you who's not having a fun time. Segue, Latin. Some of the ratchet jaws in the state, I should say the nation's capital, having a little bit of a rough go of it for the last week. Of course, this always seems to happen too whenever I take a significant trip, like if I go away for 5 or 6 days.
That's when everything breaks.
Something huge is going to drop and loudly. I remember, it was another trip on a whim too, and I was like, you know what, I can pull this off. I can do the Aruba thing. It's only about a 2-hour flight from my spot, and jumped, get there, land, settled in. I'm going to get ready to go to the beach and do some reef diving and everything else. Nope, that's when Harvey Weinstein's rape story has to cut wide open.
Oi.
Yeah. So instead, I darted down to the corner, grabbed a 6-pack of Caribe beer, sat with my legs in the fountain and my laptop and drinking and writing up as that was going on. But yeah, this same kind of thing. So I'm kind of watching as National Public Radio. Should we talk like they do for the rest of this segment?
Yes. Why not? Let's talk the way they talk at National Public Radio.
We here at KLRN would like to cover
I can't do it.
broadcast and terrestrial supporters here on your network. And by the way, if you make it through this entire segment, we have a lovely KLRN radio tote bag available for you.
With a modest contribution of $25. That tote bag can be yours.
See Rick Robinson, and as soon as your Venmo payment clears, you'll be entitled to your personalized tote bag from KLRN. I can't even do that for her.
I can't.
I need to probably be hopped up on like 6 pina coladas and cough medicine in order to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mr. Steve Inskeep, tell us, we have a war breaking out apparently in the Middle East. This is gripping. Like they don't even get excited about big news there. It's like, holy shit, they're bombing everywhere. No. Oh, we apparently have incoming ordnance that could possibly disrupt shipping lanes. Yeah, fuckers. But the whole reason we're bringing this up and clowning about them is because they're a bunch of effing clowns over there at NPR. Last week, individual by the name of Uri Berliner. If you don't know that name, it's perfectly understandable because he was a executive editor at NPR. Not somebody that'd be on the air. It's just, someone behind the scenes, pulling the strings, pushing the buttons, pointing people around and stuff. He came out with a column, not at NPR, not at any of their outlets, but at the new Barry Weiss, she formerly of the New York Times, subscription service called The Free Press. And this is kind of a pretty cool setup for her because after she was ostracized from the Gray Lady, she decided to pitch a tent and, put up her own outlet, as a lot of people are doing these days in this turbulent, topsy-turvy world of journalism. Fuckers. I'm just kind of in a mood with these people, just because, you know who it is? Katie Couric. She set me off.
I do not blame you. That woman has
a little diminutive wench. We'll get to that in a second. I'm still kind of.
I've got opinions on her.
I'm not fond of hitting women, but just envisioning a backhand to the cheek seems appropriate in this case. But we'll get to that. So Uri Berliner, if you haven't heard the story, and if you have, I'll even detail it just a bit. He wrote extensively at the Free Press about National Public Radio and what a bunch of partisan hacks they are. Now, he didn't do this in an angry fashion, like, I don't know, somebody else might report on it in that way. I'm just going to pick a name out of a hat. Me. But he was genteel in his description of the network being entirely biased for the Democrats and for the left, and went deep in detail explaining how, from Russian collusion stories to their coverage of Trump in general. Of course, the infamous incident with the Hunter Biden laptop, where NPR at the time boldly came out to say, we are not going to report on that story. We're not going to waste our time or the time of our listeners with the laptop because it is invalid and Oh, wait, it's real? Oh, damn. Yeah. And just on and on. And I love the fact that he even brought up the Florida parental rights and education law. And he detailed how he even went to management a number of times with issues and problems and concerns with the way that their news narrative was going. And even told him, he's like, why do we keep using "don't say gay"? That is not what the law says. It's not even in the bill, the word gay. You can't do this. It's not deaf ears every single time. So basically he got fed up and just said, you know what? It's checkout time. I got to go and do this on Barry Weiss's outlet. So, he just kind of let fly. And I'll tell you this, the biggest, the one thing that jumped out at me, he was talking about their demographics and said that, maybe going back about 15 years, the listenership at NPR was pretty reflective of the American landscape. I think it was, I don't have the exact figures here, but I think it was like 23% were Republican, about 33% or so Democrat, and the rest independent, at least admitting to it. So he says, looking at 2023, the numbers shifted significantly. Republican listenership is only at about 11%. But the biggest thing is that the independents also plummeted, only down to like 20% or so. And then the rest, easily 2/3 of the audience is liberal, stated liberal listeners at NPR. Which, again, people like ourselves that pay attention to stuff and follow it or don't follow it, as it were, it's no surprise. But when you look at these figures, it's like, damn, okay, there's the proof, right? But he had some numbers that jumped out even more. And I'm not even sure how he did this, and there could be some question to this, I'll admit, but he said he looked through the ranks of the editors at NPR and checked the political affiliation, the party affiliation of all the editors. 87 of them are registered Democrats. The amount of them that were registered Republicans, a nice round number, literally 0. They don't have a single editor anywhere at NPR that attests to being Republican. I find that just, it's not surprising, but the starkness of it is. I would have said, yeah, maybe a handful, maybe they have a couple, maybe they did what the Washington Post is. They got their token Max Boot, Jen Rubin on staff just to say, no, we're balanced. No, and they don't even try to there. So you pretty much see everything laid out right there. And I don't know about anybody else. I had like zero surprise. I was just more surprised that he came out and actually gave voice to this.
It's, we've known for a very long time that NPR and PBS both have leanings towards the left simply by virtue of the fact that they are government-funded entities. And I don't know if you remember, but I remember the big hue and cry when PBS and NPR both decided to start selling advertising because they were not getting enough funding from the public. So they decided to go ahead and do that, and the public was like, well, wait a minute. If you're going to sell advertising, why do you need government money? Oh, well, it's completely different, and they did the song and dance about how, the monies were going to stay separate, and they were going to stay local and all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So eventually, whatever, they now have commercials They have ad revenue and everything, and yet they still get funding from the government. And you would think that because it is government funded, that there would be no politics, but that's all you get. It went from being left leaning to being hard left in the past, I want to say at least the past 20 years. So
yeah,
I was not surprised when Berliner actually came out and said that this was a concern because they had strayed from journalism itself. It was no longer journalism that they were practicing. So what happens? They suspend him.
Yeah, absolutely. The part I loved about that, I mean, you kind of saw that coming, but at the same time,
yeah,
I was curious how it was going to play out because you could see the people at NPR struggling. You know, this wasn't like somebody at Fox News coming out and criticizing them. Oh, it's just those conservatives. They hate us anyway. Blah. You know, no, this is one of their own. The complaints came from inside the house. Oops. And so the normal,
it's not like they can hide it.
You know, whatever explanation they might have or might give couldn't be given because, and it's not like Berliner is a light figure there. You know, it's like, oh, you know, he's part-time. Oh no, no, this guy's been there for 25 years. He's a major editor. He's connected. The guy's plugged in. He's there. And that really screwed him. Now, you know, he probably was ruffling feathers to a degree. Oh, there's that Uri going at it once again. I don't know what's in his bonnet. Oh, my goodness. You know, he always says that, too, in his piece, that I would bring it up. You know, nobody yells at you and says you can't say that or anything of the sort. He just, you know, because that's, as he explains, that's just not the NPR way. And he even admits to being like a hardened leftist himself. You know, I drive a Subaru. Yeah. I mean, he said that.
He's an old-fashioned hippie liberal. He really, you know, he espouses the whole, and he's a hippie. You look at him, he looks like a hippie. I mean, he had the Subaru, everything. So it's not like he took a hard right turn at all. But there is, you know, he did have a concern about this because they were no longer practicing journalism. And he even admits they have to go back to those building blocks. And the fact that he came out and said this has earned the ire of the entire NPR, you know, structure. And I'm like, are y'all mad because he actually said it out loud? Or are you mad because you don't agree with him and he is lying?
To be honest
because he
with
said
you,
it out loud.
I think it's the first. Yeah, I think it's because
he said it out loud.
Gave voice to a reality that they're aware of. In fact, he even hints at that in one segment where he talked about, and he had a number of matters. You know, this wasn't just a solitary story that bothered him or something. A number of times he's gone to management or held staff meetings and such and said, hey, this is an issue. Hey, what are we going to do about this? And never got movement. He even says, like, the part about the 87-0 ratio in-house. He said, we had an all-hands staff meeting, and I brought that up. And the reaction of people were like, oh, that's an interesting statistic. And that was about it. It wasn't like they processed like it's a problem or something. It was almost like they were looking at each other going, I was pretty sure didn't we have a Republican here months ago saying stuff that was funny? No, not anymore. Where did he go? No, that it didn't bother, affect anybody when he says this. And it was a number of issues. So the very fact that he was doing this on the regular should have pinged on the radar. But he even said one of those times he went to somebody that was, you know, in a similar position to him, plugged in and such, and brought up the points of bias. And that individual told him that at the time that they had started, they had, you know, voiced similar concerns or brought up points that were of the same nature. And it was pretty much understood at that point in time that you're going to keep it in house. Yeah, that kind of thing. We're just going to talk about that here. We're not going to go public with it. We're not going to let everybody else in on that sort of thing. But this is the issue. They have problems there. It's very evident. And the same problems we're seeing across the media landscape. And for the exact same reasons that they have such a dearth of conservative voices on staffs at news outlets. It's a thing. There's polling that shows this, actually. So NPR's got a problem, and these are supposedly, elevated minds. These are the eggheads. These are the Ivy Leaguers and such, and they have absolutely zero interest in engaging in any introspection here. So when he tells them this is a problem, they're like, yeah, we don't like talking about that.
But you're right, and they're like, we don't want the public to know. And I'm like, what part of National Public Radio do you not understand?
Yeah, exactly.
It's our money that goes to fund you. It's
if anything, there should be
money
more
that pays your salary. Yeah, if anything, it should be more balanced, less biased, and it should be just straight journalism. I loved NPR. All of the music, when they were when they would have Carl Sagan on for Nova, and because he would do Nova both on NPR and on PBS, and even the car shows were very entertaining, even for somebody who doesn't know anything about cars.
But car talk on Saturdays.
Yes, and I loved hearing it, even though I had absolutely no idea, what goes on. But I did learn a lot about the inner workings of a car and how you dissect the problem when it comes to a carburetor, or if this car is doing this kind of noise, what it could be. And it was a mystery, and for me that was the attraction. So I would actually listen to that. My dad loved listening to NPR all the time. There were nights that they would run old serials, So one of his favorite serials was The Shadow. I remember when him telling us the stories of when he was young, and my grandmother would go to the big city, and he would get like a dime to entertain himself, and he would go and he would get the popcorn and a candy bar and actually watch the serial that weekend, and they would do this almost every Saturday, and for him,
I think they call that binge listening.
But I remember when there were two catalogs. Wireless was the one for NPR, and Signals was the one for PBS. And I would get them both. And I remember saving up enough money so I could buy my dad the cassettes of The Shadow. And he must have worn out those cassettes just listening to them, and reminiscing, And this was at a time when the serials were still in English. And luckily my grandmother and her best friend were English teachers. So my dad learned English at a very early age. And so he could actually follow along pretty well, and it helped him with his English education. So he had a very big attachment to those serials. And it wasn't just The Shadow. I mean, he did Flash Gordon. There were, I think, Alan Quartermain. There were quite a few serials that he would go watch when he was young. But they've taken that away. And instead now, whenever you listen to National Public Radio, it's always, conservative bashing. They're always talking bad about middle America. They never have anything nice to say about the right. It's constant. And on top of that, it's never reporting of news. I have yet to hear news coming out of NPR. Actual factoids coming out of NPR. I've yet to hear them. I haven't heard them in years.
And I can't really attest myself because the last time I was really listening to NPR with any regularity, I think it was on a couple of the weekend shows. I think it was Wait, Don't Tell Me. It was kind of like a panel show, but they made fun of the news, or they had fun with the news, I should say. So they they would throw out a headline and people would comment on it with jokes, and then they would find somebody else would put up 3 headlines and you had to figure out which one was real because they were so outlandish, that kind of stuff. And it was, that's kind of fun. It's not too biased. And then PJ O'Rourke was actually on for a while. And it was like, I guess I got to keep listening now because he's only my damn hero. But that's a long time ago since I've listened. I keep tabs on him though online and such, following like David Folkenflick, who's their media guy. Steve Inskeep, he'll have some comments that crack you up at times. And it's when NPR news comes out of this nature that I only pay attention to. Because otherwise, it's like their coverage. No, screw it. They're as blatantly biased as it comes. And I'll frequently point it out and say, oh, here's a headline from them showing they're assholes. It's just that evident. But what's been amazing is after this Berliner column came out, the attempt at denials has been comical. The upper echelon of the executive branch, we here always have a priority of looking at diversity when covering the news and even including our sourcing to be sure that we are open-minded. You're not saying anything. I saw like 3 or 4 comments come out of NPR that were 100, 150 words long that had 0 content in them. Our staff here is always applying the upper standards of journalism, and we always try to... What about what he said? They didn't want to talk about it. So finally, their CEO, boy, you want to talk about a hot mess of garbage, this one. Catherine Maurer is her name, and she only just took the helm of the network about a month or so ago. Was never in journalism before this. There's a KG move, guys. So she's having to deal with this on her, probably hasn't even hung up all the cat calendars in her office yet, and yet so she's going through this kind of this. So she comes out and she delivered one of those, mealy, nonsensical, content-free comments. And it sounded to me like the staff was like, no, you got to slam him. You have to go. This won't abide. So then she comes out and said, I think it's really unfair of him to do this. It was so improper for him to just single out people like this and just trashing his own kind. And that's just disturbing. He never did that. He didn't call anybody out by name. He was talking about content. He didn't say this guy screwed up, that one did wrong, nothing of the sort. And so you clearly see what they're trying to do is, it's so improper what he did. Told the truth? That's what you have a problem with at NPR? And after this, cracks me. I mean, you could just tell they are stuck. Because now that, she came out and made some comments, she's coming under the crosshairs. And people are digging up her social media posts from a year or 2 ago.
Which are not good.
This woman is like the prototypical leftist activist. You name the topic, and I'll just say leftist, and you already know her opinion. She's a white apologist. She hates Donald Trump, environmentalist, vegetarian, Black Lives Matter. I mean, and not just like, I'm in favor. No, hardcore, like activist for these causes. And just across the board. Like, there's not a single modulating opinion in this woman's feed that you can find. Nope. It is all leftist. And now it's becoming, well, the conservatives are picking on her.
Okay, it's us.
The New York Times said this today. It's like, Catherine Maurer's social media now is being criticized by those on the right. Uh-huh. Any reason why they might criticize their New York Times? And they did finally get around to like printing some of these old posts and texts of her, so at least it's getting out there. But yeah, this woman's out there. She's a leftist. And then there's the photograph of her wearing a Joe Biden hat and a mask from 2020. And that just kind of sealed it for me. Not that, like, if it was just that picture floating around out there, fine, okay, whatever. But couple it with everything else she's said. And then this is what struck me. Let's pick a network, any network. I like the most neutral one out there you could think of, like News Nation. Okay, relatively calm. I mean, they're new on the block for the most part, and they haven't been too much notably leaning to one side or the other. Even though they got Chris Cuomo there, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
So
I've watched a couple of his shows.
Yeah, it's kind of like he no longer has to follow the CNN script, so he's allowed to be kind of neutral. How about that? What a refreshing train of pace there, Chris.
It was actually rather bizarre, but it actually drove home the point of how constrained he really was with his show on, it was MSNBC that he was on. And
no, he was CNN.
Oh, CNN. And because I'm not kidding. He's not by any stretch right wing. That is true. But I was watching the show and I'm going, this sounds rational. Am I still on Earth? Did CERN freak me out again? That's how I was thrown off balance watching.
Well, it's only because when he was on CNN, he was just hyper leftist. It was just all the while, cloaking himself in neutrality. No, I'm only dealing in the truth here. How dare you suggest I'm a leftist? Hey, here comes my Democrat New York brother. But it's, so Dan Abrams runs the show there. Let me ask you this question. And I'm pretty sure everybody's going to have an instantaneous reaction to the question, but here you go. Now, imagine Dan Abrams, CEO of News Nation, and a photograph comes out of him like smiling and pointing at the camera while wearing a red MAGA hat. Just consider for a moment the reaction across the news spectrum to that image getting out. It would be monumental. It would be significant. Oh, this tells us so much about News Nation, does it not? Dan Abrams needs to step down immediately because he has poisoned the trust and the integrity of all the journalists at his network. That kind of bullshit would be flowing hard and heavy. I haven't seen a single news outlet come out and be critical of the fact that the new CEO of NPR, it was a selfie. It wasn't like she was at an event. Oopsie, I forgot to take this off. Sorry. No, boom. She took the shot of herself. It's like, I'm so proud to have this Biden hat on my head. Nothing, not a single syllable of discontent to be found anywhere in the press. Cracks me up.
I found it funny that there was an NPR person took to Twitter saying, no one's asked my opinion, but when you go to another site to complain, you are violating a trust that you have in with the people you work with. And I'm like, girl, you're literally taking this to Twitter, which is another site, and you're bitching about someone. You're doing the same thing you're accusing this other guy of doing.
Oh, Steve Inskeep did the same thing. Like, how dare Berliner write his opinion about coworkers at another site, says Steve Inskeep on Substack.
Yeah.
And by the way, Steve, Berliner didn't name anybody in his piece outside of, I think he might have mentioned the CEO that, that departed and the one that came in, and talked about, they're the ones steering the ship kind of thing. He wasn't saying it was their fault, and he didn't call out any coworkers, yet there's Steve Inskeep calling out Uri Berliner on Substack, not there. And then I cracked up so much yesterday at this one. Eric Diggins is their TV critic.
Mm-hmm.
He's a little vocal on social media. He can be a little reactionary, let's say. I'm trying to use their lingo. He can be a little brassy at times. He took exception with the fact that Uri Berliner wrote this extensive piece about NPR without speaking to anybody at NPR about it.
Oh, seriously.
Eric, he works at NPR. He is NPR. He didn't even bother to reach out to anybody at the network. Look at the byline.
But that's just it. You don't know, because he actually says, this is a concern because this is what I've noticed. And he literally took this concern to those people where he was at NPR.
He said that. And numerous times he went to management, he held staff meetings, he talked to editors about these things, and all the while stonewalled. So yeah, maybe he didn't contact anybody directly, like, hey, I'm writing this article about what a shit can network we are. No, he's basically saying, I'm fed up, is basically the overriding theme of his column. And basically said, I've done this for years. I've done this at story after story after story. Like the laptop. You're going back to 2020 with the Hunter laptop, okay? Russian collusion predated that, and he had concerns and was taking it to management at the time. With the demographics, the drop in audience, he said he took that to management. Went nowhere. When he noticed 87-0 Democrat to Republicans in the editorial staff, he had a staff meeting that he brought that up at, and everybody was like, oh, okay. And that was it. So for years, he's been doing this and getting nowhere. So why not go public with it finally?
Amazing. It really is.
But like you said, they went ahead and suspended him today, which is more hilarious because if you listen to all of their claims, we're very open-minded and we enjoy hearing opinions from others, and we often have meetings in which we'll entertain diverse ideas. Wait, what did he say? Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, they can. And I'm like, okay, basically, you made everything that he said. You just cemented everything he said as being true with those actions. Everything that the NPR has done has actually proven that what Uri Berliner was saying was true. They've dug themselves so far into this hole, they might as well be in China, with whom they work, I'm pretty sure. So, they should.
Well, I also think this isn't going away anytime soon either, because when you just consider the fact that the CEO is getting raked like she is right now for her social media, she hasn't taken anything down. And I think that's because they're kind of stuck. And they are literally having internal meetings like, oh my God, what do we do now? Because if they take the post down, then that's going to be a tacit admission that they do think those are explosive or controversial. But if they leave them up, it serves as proof. So, oh my gosh, what do we do? And they're stuck.
I know.
So it's like there's evidence of her being a hyper leftist, but if we take it down, that's going to be we're admitting she's a hyper leftist.
Yeah. If we take it down, we admit it. If we leave it up, we admit it. So we're kind of screwed.
It's amusing to me because what Berliner did is something I've been calling for years. And saying that the media screwed up. this model that they've created now is not working. The audience is leaving. People don't trust the press anymore. Polls have shown that. Polls have shown people saying, I don't trust the media at all. And that number is higher than the people going, oh, yeah, I still like the press. I can trust them. And they don't want to fix anything. And he came out with this column, and literally I'm reading it in the car, and I was like, oh, my God, there is one. And as it turns out, with the reaction from everybody at NPR, there's one. So this is a mess. We should probably get other things going, though, because I could probably talk about this for weeks.
Well, on the heels of that, there was an interview. Since you had brought her up, we can talk about Katie Couric, who's still trying to, remain relevant in media circles, I suppose. I thought she had retired, but apparently not.
Well, I don't think she has a regular gig. I think she does, spot pieces here and there, and maybe writes a book or a website. I don't even know. Don't even care, really, because it's Katie Couric. Why would I care?
I don't know if you guys remember, but when her husband died of cancer, and this was several years ago. Like almost 20, something like that. I don't think he had been buried a week before she decided to invest $100,000 on her, on plastic surgery, on getting a new haircut, new hair coloring, new wardrobe. She revamped herself. And everybody was saying, oh, you had it so rough, taking care of your husband while he had cancer and all that stuff. I'm like, y'all saw that she was working throughout that, right? She didn't take a leave. She did not take leave from NBC to take care of her husband. Up until a week before he passed away, she was working. I know because I was watching it and it was live. So it's not like it was a big hardship. I'm not saying that she didn't suffer through, that ordeal. I'm saying that I find it very odd that not even a week after burying her husband, she was revamping herself to the tune of well over $100,000 with plastic surgery. And she was going out to nightclubs and dancing with people. And I think people remember that those clips of her, going dancing and being dressed up and all that stuff and everything, just rebranding herself as a, I needed to, do something for myself after, years of hardship. I'm like, years of hardship. And then to top of everything off, I know she had surgery. She had a facelift. She had some stuff done to her face and all that stuff. And I couldn't tell the difference. I couldn't.
No. I don't generally like to make fun of people's looks, but she always strikes me as that woman at a dinner or cocktail party at 10 or 10:30, and you could tell she's deep in the box wine.
Well, she's, she was touted as being very perky, and she and Brian Gumbel actually did a, really good job working off of each other during I think it was Today show. So it worked for them. She was very perky, and he was more laid back and serious, that kind of thing. But they had their moments, and it worked for them. But they banked on her being so perky. As a matter of fact, that was her brand, being so perky. And it has, I don't know what happened, but apparently after she left NBC and after she, people just stopped talking about her, she started trying to be relevant again. It's like she missed it. She missed being the perky young woman type of thing. And she has tried very hard to get back to that perkiness position in some way or another. So I was not surprised to see the interview with Bill Maher. Now, we all know that Bill Maher is a big time liberal, and which is fine. But sometimes he will call out the left for what they do because he sees that there's a problem with it. So I can give him props for that.
Well, that's kind of what set Katie off.
Yeah.
Because they're on his. This was not. I thought it was on his HBO program, but it wasn't. This is on. He does a video podcast.
Yeah.
Where he interviews people. So he's got her on, and they're talking about the political climate. Now, what strikes me is that what kind of kicked this off was they were talking about the class disparity in the country, about the rich getting richer.
Mm-hmm.
That struck me because usually when we see that brought up, oh, those damn Republicans cutting taxes again. There they go. Give it to the corporations, screwing the little guy, yada, yada. Except they can't. It's Biden. So as she gives voice to that happening, she can't blame Biden for this, God forbid. So instead, she's saying that this is creating class warfare, and this is leading to the Trump voter being so angry and so upset at people. And what pisses me off about this is not that she's insulting MAGA people. I go ahead, criticize them. She's never heard that before, Kate. Good one. But it's this air of superiority that she's delivering. It's like, you of all people are going to get some, yeah, all right, maybe you're rich beyond most people's comparison because you were on television. But she takes it further in saying that this is her quote, one of them. The socioeconomic disparities are a lot, and class resentment is a lot, and anti-intellectualism and elitism is what is driving many of these anti-establishment, which are Trump voters. So I think that is a huge problem that we have to address. The Trump voters are all stupid. Not only stupid, but they hate intellectualism, according to Katie Couric.
According to her. Mm-hmm.
I have two problems with this. One being Katie Couric is going to be the condescending one here. Please. But the fact that she is holding herself up as the intellectual. Stop it. You were on a morning show, okay? You were coming up with waffle recipes that are fun and kicky for the kids.
And this is rather the sad part about it, is that she was very condescending. She was very belittling of an entire group of people. And she took that brush and was painting really big strokes. And it was, I'm like, you do news still, right? Because for a time she was the news anchor as well,
right?
As I recall. And I'm like, I'm fine that she has opinions about who should lead the country, if the Democrats should or if the Republicans. I'm fine with that. That's great. But when you go out of your way to belittle a group of people based solely on media talking points that are coming from the administration, there's an issue. There's a really big issue.
Well, this is how unintelligent Katie Couric is. Because after she has already said this, oh, those Trump people are stupid and they don't like intellectuals, she follows it up with this. I think when people who are really struggling see people who have everything and are looking down on them, it is just a recipe for such anger and resentment and grievance. Katie, you were just looking down your nose at them. So don't sit there and try to pretend this isn't happening elsewhere. You just called them stupid.
Yeah.
Right? Well, they probably just resent seeing people who have everything and look down on them, like me. Oops, I'm others people that do. Dumb wench. She just described herself and didn't even realize it.
No, she didn't. And this is the problem with that bubble that they live in. They honestly think that bubble not only protects them, but that only that which is inside that bubble is what counts. that nothing else matters. And it's, I mean,
she's a prime example of somebody living inside the echo chamber and doesn't even have a dream of finding a key to get out of it because she doesn't want to. It's just, she's so entrenched. And credit to Maher, because, he does now, especially, give both sides of it. He actually responded to her in a great fashion, that I think. He said not to defend Trump, but to defend the people who still vote for him, because what they see on the other side to them is even more dangerous because it's closer to home. And he's referencing all of the things that come from the left that they see as a danger. So it's not that's, and I think he nails it for the most part. The bulk of Trump's support these days isn't that they just love him. I mean, sure, there's idolatry going on. I'm not going to deny it. But I think people are looking at the two choices and they're saying, well, hell yeah, I'm going to Trump because that over there is psychotic. And just voting for him by default more than anything else. And that's literally what we're looking at here. He actually said, and this is probably the best description. He says, we don't really like him, talking about the Trump voters here. He's like, we don't really like him, but he's all that stands between us and madness. Perfect.
Yep.
That explains it.
That's pretty dead on. I was like, who was I talking? I forgot who I was talking to, but I basically told him straight out. I said, I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm definitely not a fan of Biden. We were better off when we had Trump. I admitted to all of that. I said, I still think that Trump's an egotistical ass. But I tell you what, when Trump told the entire world, my finger's on the fucking button and I'm crazy enough to push it, that's the kind of guy I want at this point in time, okay? Because everybody backed off. Nobody did a damn thing. I mean, Russia waited to go into the Ukraine for a reason, okay? They knew Trump would get pissed and do something.
They also knew Biden would do nothing because...
Exactly.
I mean, I remember when that buildup was taking place and Biden was basically... He didn't come out and say it, but you could hear his words where he was just like, I really would rather they didn't do that.
Right?
And Putin's like, uh-huh. And meanwhile, he's got his hands circling over his head. Rev them up. Start the tanks. And he just did it this weekend with Iran. He's like, don't you guys better not do that. I'm going to be cross with you if you send any rockets during my vacation in Delaware. And look what happened.
Yeah.
So it's, this is the amusement where they keep trying to blame Trump for this stuff. It's like, Biden's been in office for 3 years. Is he ever going to take control of things, or is this all going to be just Trump's fault until Trump is back in office and then it's Trump's fault? Convenient how that works.
I don't know how. I don't know how this. If Trump doesn't win, we get screwed. If Trump wins, somehow the credit goes to Biden for all the good things that Trump does. I mean, it's really weird how they manage to do this.
It's damned convenient, I think is the term you're looking for.
Yes, that's pretty much it.
Well, speaking of Biden and border issues with immigrants, segue Latin, this has to be possibly my favorite story of the week already. This is just absolutely beautiful. Yes, it involves an illegal immigrant. Yes, it involves crime.
Of course.
But damn, this is funny. I'm going to need your help on this, though, because according to the report from the Fox 8i team in Sandusky, Ohio, 20-year-old suspect by the name of Yixin, Yeixon. Yixin? Help me out with my Caucasian tongue here.
My guess it's Yixin. It depends on where you're from, I guess. Like I said, in Mexico, the X is actually the H sound, the H sound, So Uh, so
Well, he's
you
from
get home.
Venezuela.
Oh,
Helps out.
that makes sense. Okay. So my guess is probably some kind of native name, but I don't know.
Well,
But let's call him Jack.
okay, perfect. Oh, because Jackson. I see how that goes. Yeah, okay, that's where it gets lost in translation. Cool. Well, 20-year-old Jackson robbed a bank in Sandusky. Well, I shouldn't. No, correction. And it's not allegedly. He attempted to rob a bank. Happened around 11:30 in the morning. And then the police got a call from somebody in the bank that said there was a suspect. He wasn't talking and was trying to get around the counter, where the tellers are at. He, let's just say, had a communication problem. So,
A little bit.
Give him some props here. I mean, he probably got stuck at some point and then thought his way through the process. Like, I have a solution.
Solution. Very good.
Since he didn't speak English and had a hard time conveying to the tellers that he was trying to rob them, he pulled out his phone and used the translation app to say, "Get the money and put the money in the bag." Trying to picture somebody coming up to the teller and holds up a finger, taps into his phone, and then holds it up. And the phone says, "Do not call police. Put money in the bag." Oh, damn, I love this story so much.
I got to give him props for trying. At least he knew the app
didn't give up
to use. He did not give up.
He stayed on task. He found a way, sort of. But yeah, that's a gem right there, I gotta say. Hey, speaking of apps on phones.
Oh, there are some beauties out there. Are they not?
Perfect segue going on tonight here.
A lot of segues.
And I'm not even writing it. Wish I were. This comes out of Sweden. And I don't know if we have anybody in chat that can speak Swedish. I don't know if there's even a direct translation of the word Karen.
The only Swedish I know are the little fish that I eat. Those little gummy fish. That's it.
I know Svedka, Absolute, ABBA.
Okay.
Bjorn Borg.
Yeah, he was something. He was a great tennis player. I gotta give him props.
Oh, and Dolph Lundgren. Okay. See, I'm building up a vocabulary. But anyway, there's a Swedish company that launched a new phone app in Sweden. There's just absolutely nothing about this that sounds good to me, but here we go. They've come up with a clever name. I'm guessing this is through translation. It's called Scout Park. This will allow citizens to notify parking authorities when people have erroneously pulled into a slot in illegal fashion.
So basically paying you to snitch.
You get to rat out people at the mall that park on the line, take a handicap spot without the proper sticker. You can rat out your neighbor for parking poorly. And it's not just a hobby. You can actually use this as a side hustle in Sweden. Once you upload a photo of a wrongly parked car, the app notifies that a parking attendant is on the way. And if your tip to the parking attendant leads to an inspection fee, then you'll be paid for your contribution. You're going to get a cut of the parking tickets.
So basically, like I said, paying you to snitch on people.
Now, my question, of course, they're going to boost the fine on parking in order to compensate for this, but shouldn't they pay the parking attendant less?
You would think so, yes.
Because you got other people out there basically
Doing their job.
They're stringers. They're you could just sit on your ass and like the phone chirps. We got one in lot L6. You want to take it? Yes, yeah. You finish streaming. I gotta go do this.
I see absolutely no good for this. Admittedly, people will say, "Hey, if it works, we'll pay you part of the ticket." Blah 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 blah, and it's incentive, but it's also training people to inform on others. So you have this app whereby you inform on somebody that is incorrectly parked, and if they get a ticket, you get a few drachma out of it. I understand drachma is Greek, but whatever. Krona. Well, they're actually on the euro now, but whatever. And I gotta admit, their euro coins are really pretty, but that's another story. Anyway, but there will come a time when they're going to put out another app, and you will be trained now. You'll have trained the populace in order to use that app to inform on somebody else for something. And you will not get a monetary reward for it. But now you're thinking of the greater good. They have trained you in that. They've trained you to look for the greater good, to inform for the greater good, to act for the greater good. That's where this is going to go to. That's the big red flag that I see.
At the risk of sounding like Gina Carano, this is kind of what the Nazis prepping people to do. There, it's like, hey, you got any Jews in your neighborhood? Pull up the app. Let us know. I mean, yeah, that's extreme. Admittedly, I'm going to say that, but this is not good. When you're conditioning people to start policing their neighbors. No.
It's almost like Mark Twain says, history does not repeat itself, but it often does mimic it.
Yeah.
It often mirrors it. So this is where we're at, because Sweden's not the first one to do this. There are several places, several governments that actually encourage you to inform on your neighbor if they're doing something wrong. As a matter of fact, there was a big brouhaha several years ago, Montgomery County in Maryland. I think it was Montgomery County or Prince George County, one of those counties. They passed a law saying you couldn't even smoke inside your own home. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you're inside the home. Who's going to know? Oh, the neighbor, if he sees you smoking inside the house, will report you. I mean, people went batshit insane when that passed. They were like, no, what I do in my own home is my own fucking business. You cannot tell me I cannot smoke in my own home. And it was, at first people were like, yeah, we don't want people smoking in public places. We don't want them in restaurants. We don't want they were ostracizing all of the smokers. Everything was going smoke free. And they wanted your home to be smoke free too, for your own good, for the greater good.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is anytime they're telling you what's in your best interest, get the hell out of here.
Oh, nothing drives me more insanely batshit than being told that I vote against my own interest. Nothing pisses me off.
Isn't that precious?
More than that. I have had so many white liberal women, never a white guy. Never a white guy. All of them have been white liberal women telling me that I vote against my own interests. And I'm like, you don't know what my interests are. Why do you even presume to know better than I do what my interests are? What is better for me? Well, you know, you don't know, obviously, because you keep voting, conservative. And I'm like, but it works for me. Being conservative works for me. I like that platform. I like being conservative. I like the fact that I have more freedom for myself. No, you're doing it wrong. I'm like, oh, fuck yourself. My God.
Oh, too precious. You just don't get it.
Yeah, basically, they really think of us as stupid. They do think of us as stupid. This is why affirmative action has been the greatest detriment to minorities in this country. And that's my opinion. But I really do believe that. Because basically what they're telling us, like, you cannot make it on your own. You need government help. Because you are just not smart enough to do it on your own. That's what they told me.
And when you get affirmative action, you end up with the likes of Joy Reid.
Oh, God.
That's not an insult. She admitted
that's exactly
the only reason she got into Harvard. And yeah, the way she put it too is like, when I was trying to get into Harvard, there were people like me getting in, or the rich people. And I only got in because of affirmative action. It's like, so you're saying that it wasn't valid for the rich people to get in, but their money got them in. Yes. And the color of your skin got you in, not your merit. Oops.
Believe me, that's one of the reasons I turned Harvard down. I turned Princeton down. I turned Yale down. The only one that actually accepted me based on my scholastic merit was Brown. And I hid my...
Which is ironic, because you're brown skin.
I know, right? They were the only ones. I did not reveal my my ethnicity when I sent in my applications. But, Harvard found out and Princeton found out because they asked me. They straight out asked me, you forgot to fill this in and we need that. So in order to process it, I had to reveal that I was Hispanic. But Brown was the only one that accepted me without the benefit of my ethnicity.
Oh no, you should have gone to Harvard, because they're going to educate you in your interests.
I would rather have clipped my nails in a Cuisinart than go to Harvard.
You could be an alumnus with David Hogg.
No. No. Never. Dear
well,
God.
Speaking of higher education, got to study this week.
Oh, God.
Because I'd like to endeavor, broaden my horizons, expand my mental faculties. I want to make my think muscle bigger so that Katie Kirk will like me. So yeah, I like to study up on what the scientificians are up to. Scientificals. Yeah, what those guys are doing.
Yeah.
One of them by the name of, and looks like a typo, but his name is Doc. I think it's in him. I'm not even being gender neutral.
Oh, no.
I have no clue what this is. Dr. Sarab H. Sethi. The first name is Saurabh.
Sarab. Mm-hmm.
So is that a dude or a gal?
Guy.
You sure?
The only Sarabs I know are men. I don't know.
You know other Sarabs. Okay.
Yes.
I got to start to get around, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, Dr. Typo is a Harvard-trained gastroenterologist. He's one of them smart thinkers. And I'm going to question how smart he is, because this was based on something he posted on TikTok. There you go. Wanted to explore something. It's a phenomenon, if you will, Aggie, about what happens to people who are visiting bookstores or coffee shops or big box retailers. He's studying an effect, I guess you could say, this has on people. This phenomenon is known as the Mariko Aoki phenomenon. Something that was first described in Japan back in 1985. I'm already feeling smarter. This is just, isn't this like just mentally enervating? Can't you just feel yourself just being elevated mentally because of this? Just, it's like we're hobnobbing with doctors, does it not?
Mm-hmm.
According to the Daily Mail, strange occurrence is named after a woman in Japan because she wrote about what happens every time she visits a bookstore and was gripped by the sudden urge to go to the bathroom and take a crap. Others confess to experiencing a similar effect, and nobody was able to pinpoint the precise cause at the time. Dr. Sethi thinks that this could be due to aromatic induction taking place. So when you go to a bookstore or a coffee shop, there's actually a named phenomenon for why you have to suddenly get struck with bowel movements. Says the doctor from Harvard.
Yeah, okay. Why would you want to study this? What is the purpose of studying what triggers somebody's stimuli to go ahead and evacuate their fecal matter? I do not understand why this is necessary. I don't get it.
Yeah. And like, how do you put up a flyer on campus to get people to submit to this study on your behalf? The retail inducement of leavings is going to be studied. What do you... You go to Starbucks, you got to take a crap? Come over to the lab. We got something to study here.
I admit that sometimes there is a Pavlovian response. We associate one thing with another, and over the course of 2 or 3 times doing the same thing and associating, you have a Pavlovian response to it. I understand that. But why is it necessary to study this? Because I don't care if he's a gastroenterologist, okay? There are diseases of the gut. I get that. But this actually provides... I don't see why this would be needed for any reason.
Like, what has been accomplished? What was the hypothesis, for instance?
I don't understand it.
We intend to study this because ...
But here's the thing, like I said, we do have a Pavlovian response, which means Pavlov figured it out with dogs, which means that happens with people too. So
I would almost say, if anything, this is psychosomatic. Like if you were young and your mother always took you to the bathroom while you were at the bookstore, then that gets implanted, and then every time you go to the bookstore, then
you have to go to the bathroom. That is a Pavlovian response. Stimuli.
That's about it. What have you accomplished now? It's like, well,
nothing.
As a result of our study, Barnes & Noble needs to double the bathroom availability in their stores.
Whatever. This is stupid, and I've lost 2 brain cells over it.
No, we're studying high art and minded scientific Ivy League scientific shit. Well, I mean, this is a sports show, so why don't we wrap up with a sports story I found?
Well, we're not wrapping up yet because I have to talk about my favorite non-entity. But go ahead.
Oh, how much time do you need for that?
Just a couple of minutes. Go on.
Well, this is from the Los Angeles Clippers. A player by the name of Boban Marjanovic. I'm sorry, Houston Rockets.
Okay.
But it says he gave you the Clippers. Okay, I'm confused, but whatever. He plays center for the Houston Rockets. I'm going to guess he plays in the middle.
Yes. He plays in the middle.
I don't know from basketball, so it's like I see him. He's a guard. Like, cool. He's on the court then? I assume that means nothing to me. But it's basketball. I follow men's sports. That's just me. He plays for the Houston Rockets, but the center intentionally missed free throws during the final game of the season when they played the Clippers on Sunday. He did this for the fans in Los Angeles. He intentionally missed a pair of free throws in the fourth quarter of the Rockets' win, and that allowed for an in-game promotion to hit. The Clippers gives all their fans free Chick-fil-A sandwiches as if a visiting player misses 2 consecutive free throws in the fourth quarter of a game.
Oh my God, that's so awesome.
He basically indicated to the fans that he was going to do this and then celebrated when he tanked on the second shot.
Nice. That's awesome. When you want to please the fans in any way possible.
I think Chick-fil-A has a lawsuit. All right, well, let's wrap it up because I'm sure you've got some anger you need to purge.
Well, yes. The British Museum again.
Oh, brother, here we go.
That's this one's mild. And I'm actually I hate to say it. I actually understand what the British Museum is doing.
I think you need a phone app just for this.
I need one.
The BMU alarm app.
Yes. It appears that the chairman of the British Museum got into a tizzy with 10 Downing Street with the Prime Minister. Right now, the museum trustees are in the process of setting up a selection panel for they're trying to, they have a panel that they meet with 25 people. Okay. And so they need to fill certain spots. And so the Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, actually ordered the British Museum to send the names of the 2 finalists for the top position. And that's not the way it's done. Okay. So Osborne, he's the chairman, George Osborne. He rejected it. He said, yeah, we're not doing that because that goes against our customary practice. The tradition goes that after the museum trustees announce this choice for director, they send the name to the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister formally ratifies it. So it's kind of like just customary. The Prime Minister has absolutely no say in it, but right now he wants a say in it. And so the British Museum is kind of like, yeah, this is not political. You're not supposed to be doing that. And so they're like fighting with each other, Downing Street and the British Museum. And I'm here for the popcorn. And I'm actually on the British Museum side. There is no reason why.
Jeez, I just did a spit take. What?
I know there's no reason why the British Prime Minister should have a say in the choosing of a director, because the the trustees, they bypassed the process of reference from Downing Street by appointing the actual people themselves. 5 of the 25 seats can be appointed without government approval, to include the director. So there's no reason why the prime minister should be involved. So they're afraid that they have been I guess Parliament and the Prime Minister both have been trying to usurp those positions and make all of the positions be politically appointed, as opposed to keeping certain ones non-politicized. And I can understand that. It is a museum. They should run it aside from politics. However, it is government funded. So I can understand why the prime minister actually wants to be involved in all of the processes for picking all of the seats. So I can see both sides, and there's no good side, because we all know the British Museum sucks. So there's no good side here. There's no good guy. I don't know how this is going to impact.
You have me deeply confused now.
I know. I'm kind of torn, because having worked in a museum, I get what the British Museum is doing. I understand they should not. These seats are non-political. The politicians should not be involved in picking of these people. I get that. That has been they have strictly adhered to that, and now you have politicians wanting to have a say in the picking of those 5 seats. So they actually would have to change the law in order for that to happen. I don't see it happening, but like I said, I just want the British Museum to be gone. But that's just me. I just don't like those people. So that's a little bit of drama that's happening with the British Museum. But across the pond, we have another little bit of drama happening with our favorite ex-princess.
Are you referencing Prince Hank and his wife?
Yeah. So although I'll be honest, I didn't hear anything about Harry. This is all the Meghan Markle show right now. It appears that she has a new venture that she is launching. She said that she would be launching it this spring. And it's called American Riviera Orchard. And it will, I guess because of the term orchard, you're going to be getting foods out of it. So far, she has sent 50 jars of strawberry jam to her influential friends. And so they're all plying it throughout social media right now. And I'm like, she's got 50 friends? Wow. I'm impressed. But, they're going to expand. They're going to have a lot of, like I said, edible products, like obviously jam, spreads, butter, tea, coffee, that kind of stuff. They did file for a trademark for this. So it also includes, bath and shower gels, fragrances, lotions, cosmetics, pet shampoo, stationery, books, tableware, linens, yoga mats, lifestyle goods. Okay. However, she may have an issue with the name. And this is where it gets good. And it's for me, it's kind of like, ooh, she's like tripping over here. I can't believe that she's doing that. She lives in Montecito. She and Harry live in Montecito over in California, which is Santa Barbara, and so it's very ritzy. And Santa Barbara is referred to as the American Riviera out there. She wants to actually market some of her stuff at the farmers market in Montecito and everything under American Riviera. But here's the thing. California is very strict about what you can and cannot sell at farmers markets. If you're going to sell something at the farmers market, it has to be grown there. Okay, right now nobody knows where she's getting the fruits from for her jams and spreads and whatnot. It could be coming, they could be coming in from the Far East. They could be coming in from South America, Mexico. There is no provenance as of yet. So if she were to sell anything at the farmer's market under that title, it would have to be grown there. I don't think she has the wherewithal to supply that. So that would be a little bit tricky. However, if you go to her website, it's actually a Shopify page. She has right now 3 items for sale. Two of them are digital downloads of planners. I'm not even joking, okay? I am not joking. And the descriptions kill me. The Glam Savings Edition of the Royal Wealth Rain. That is the name of the planner, and this is the Glam Savings Edition. Introducing Royal Wealth Rain, Glam Savings Edition, your premier destination for digital downloads tailored to elevate your financial journey with a touch of glamour. Dive into our curated collection of digital resources designed to empower women in their pursuit of financial independence. This exclusive edition includes 3 luxurious savings sheets. You're paying $10 for 3 digital sheets. Okay? Meticulously crafted to infuse sophistication into your wealth management routine. Reign over your finances with confidence and style exclusively with Royal Wealth Rain, Glam Savings Edition. Now, I understand that some people use digital, spreadsheets and, the savings sheets, that kind of, I get that. But you're trying to, your whole shtick is that you're trying to empower women and lift them from, make them feel like no matter how much money they make, they are queens and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And yet you're going to charge $10 for 3 digital sheets that any kindergartner can make. Yeah. It's just lines. This is what I spent. This is what I made, blah, blah, blah,
I love the fact that this is a woman desperate to get away from the royal family, and she's calling these royal sheets.
Yes. And then, she actually, this is sold out. This cracked me up. It's sold out. The Working Class Royalty, the Crowned Women of Everyday Majesty, is a coloring book with 5 pages to color. I kid you not.
Fabulous.
Just 5 pages. And this is what it says. Unveil the hidden royalty in everyday life with our Working Class Royalty coloring pages. This captivating collection celebrates the strength and grace of women from all walks of life, blending the regal allure of royalty with the resilience of working class. Explore 5 enchanting scenes that honor the majesty found in everyday moments. Let your creativity reign as you add color to these empowering illustrations, reminding us all that every woman is a queen in her own right. I was laughing before the show because
I despise this woman so much. Jeez.
That is, I was amazed. I was like, that woman's got some chutzpah to actually do this.
And you'll have to show us when your pages come in.
I am not buying that coloring book. I have my own coloring book. They're called rocks, and I like painting them. So
I got to get out of here myself, we get a wrap.
Yeah, that was it for me. So, Brad, where can we find you?
I am available on a daily basis over at townhall.com with my media column, ripped from the headlines, as well as a regular on the front page of Red State, where I also vet my twice weekly podcast, Liable Sources, where I dive deeper into the mayhem of the mainstream media. You can also hear me on this network more often. Thursday night, I'm here with Ordy Packard with the important entertainment information on the culture shift, and then alternate Thursdays with Paul Young from ScreenRant.com in the dark side of Hollywood and bad movies on disasters in the making. And then if you need more of me than that, let's face it, you do. Head over to Jitter. I'm at Martini Shark. And what about you? Where do people find more of your magnificence?
Well, you can find me at Aggie Beacon and at Aggie the Barkeep over on X. You can find me 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday nights doing the Cocktail Lounge with the Everswap U. 8:30 p.m. Eastern, Friday nights doing He Said, She Said, of late with our great producer, Rick. Once a month, the last Wednesday of every month at 8 p.m. Eastern, we do Toxic Masculinity, where the guys get together, G, Rick, Ordy, and Andrew, and I myself bring the drinks, and we honor the Babe of the Month. And Jeff and I have a new podcast, newish. We're on our 6th episode, so that was kind of cool, of our Spirited Books podcast. That's also at 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the second Monday of every month. Thanks everyone for joining us, and we hope you have a lovely evening.
And go raise a glass and look at the ceiling.
Geez, Aggie, it might be easier for you to tell them where they can't find you now. Just saying. We're all a bunch of workaholics, damn it.